A lot of times when people feel that you love them, they start using it against you.
Ella Alexandra destroys Nicki Minaj in the epic showdown. I will never show up beside you. The offense that broke everything. Pay attention. I don't like exaggeration, but when I say you know what just happened between Alexandra Eala, a budding tennis talent, and Nicki Minaj, the rap royalty, maybe the 2020 SIX's most heated celebrity quarrel far away. I'm not even slightly exaggerating. A little. Since we're discussing a collision, surprising, dramatic, and so quite astounding that it has actually turned the internet into a million bits. This isn't your usual celebrity feud in which two celebrities from the subliminal trading in the same industry stories on Instagram. No. This is something quite different. This is in conflict between two entirely different worlds that ought not to have first came into contact. Nevertheless, here, we are seeing the absolute pandemonium that resulted from their actions. On the one aspect of this historic conflict, we have 20-year-old Alexandra Eala. Filipino tennis sensation he has been ripping through similar to the Women's Tennis Association tour a lady was possessed. Just out of an amazing triumph over Olympic Donna, silver medalist at the ASB Classic. A stands for everything in Auckland. That is noble and clean about professional athletics. She is disciplined, she works diligently, is modest, and carries her country's pride on her shoulders each and every time she enters that court. She is the representation of grace under duress, the poster kid for commitment and persistence, and to be honest, she's precisely the kind of role model that globally, young athletes should be admiring. On the whole, on the other end of the scale, we have the self-described queen, Nicki Minaj of rap. An empire-building lady on debate, self-assurance, and an unrepentant demeanor that has made her equally adored and despised measure. However, this is the thing that nobody likes to discuss it in public, although everyone has been discussing for months now. Nicki's celebrity has been dimming. Between contentious political partnerships that really alienated of her followers, many Instagram deactivations that cried out for help administration, and an overall perception that perhaps the cultural mindset is evolving. Without her, the famous rapper has been frantically trying to find a method to take back her throne. Her group was supposedly in a state of complete terror, searching frantically for something it may change the story's focus from the negative and return to the powerful depiction of a female idol that gave her a household name at first. What was meant to be an outstanding PR maneuver, a tactical partnership that would combine the domains of athletics and amusement in a manner that helped instead. Both parties have erupted into a worldwide event that has individuals traveling from Manila to Los Angeles taking sides and fervently defending their selected champion. We're conversing concerning grave accusations of xenophobia, rumors of a whole nation being rejected as unimportant and literally removed from consideration. A boycott movement that is becoming more powerful by the hour and making threats to destroy a multi-million-dollar music business. Moreover, perhaps most unexpectedly of all, claims that the altercation was resolved with the infamously rough rapper really shedding tears. If you believed you were already familiar with this tale from all of the headlines you've been seeing via social media, believe me when I say not even half of it is known to you. We've obtained insider information that was disclosed. Statements from those who were really when everything went wrong in the room, and a thorough explanation of how the situation worsened from a straightforward business gathering to a comprehensive, global cultural conflict observing. So fasten your seatbelt and grab whatever snacks you have on hand. Verify that you're seated since you will must be ready for the most explosive, most intricate, and most incredible story of the conflict that everyone is discussing it, but nobody has provided a complete explanation up to this point. First, let's determine where there were two ladies in each professions prior to the collision of their worlds in the most amazing style conceivable. In 2026, Alexandra Eala is no longer only a young, potential player that tennis experts discuss in whispers as someone to observe. She's here, and she has said that she will be present with power. Following a breakthrough in 2025 season in which she placed in the top 50 in the global ranks and developed into a genuine national hero in the Philippines. A nation without a lengthy history of generating top-tier tennis players, but has fully accepted they regard this young lady as one of their own. Ella began 2026 with the type of performance that elevates even ordinary tennis enthusiasts need to pay attention. Simply a few days ago, she accomplished what can only be regarded as an incredible shock triumph over the Croatian veteran Donna Vake. She won a silver medal at the Olympics in Paris. The actual game was a master lesson in mental toughness and refusing to give up even when things seem impossible. Following the first set's failure, finding herself in a hole between 4 and 6 versus a more seasoned opponent who had every reason to think that Ella might have cruised to victory. Folded. She might have allowed uncertainty to grow. Rather, she delved more and discovered another equipment that no one was aware she had, and won the following 2 sets 6 feet 4 inches after fighting back. And 64, completing a comeback that had the Auckland audience standing and sent shockwaves over the tennis court. World. This wasn't only a fortunate victory or an instance when her opponent was having a bad day. Ella was making this announcement to everyone, keeping in mind that she should be at this level, which she is able to match and defeat athletes who have achieved things she continues to strive towards, and that 2026 might be the year in which she makes the next huge step ahead. Throughout her professional life, following the game, Ella was typically modest in triumph, stating to reporters that she had experienced a difficult pre-season and was just pleased to be able to participate and compete at this level considering everything that had transpired in the last several months. She expressed gratitude to her fans at home, transitioning into Maraming Salamat in Tagalog, to the Filipino admirers who have backed her voyage from the beginning. She's been creating a stir in doubles as well, recently collaborating with American Ivik, a youngster will beat none other than Venus Williams and the previous world number Elina Svitolina 1. She's massaging shoulders with the elite in tennis. She's winning games that she should lose. She also carries the aspirations and hopes of a whole country in Southeast Asia each and every time she enters the courtroom donning the Philippine flag jersey. This young lady is aware of precisely who she is and where she originates from and what she stands for. Recall so because it becomes really important crucial very soon. Let's chat now about Nicki Minaj, since comprehending her circumstances are crucial to knowing the reasons for this partnership was first suggested and why everything went horribly wrong. Incorrect. It is not a secret to anybody who has been making even the smallest payment of focus on popular culture in the past year that Nicki has been experiencing what may be referred to as a rough patch. The lady who used to rule the charts, who reinterpreted the meaning of be a female rapper in a male-dominated business, who established an empire on the power of her character and unquestionable potential, has been dealing with a wave after a surge of controversy and criticism that even her most ardent admirers wondering what's happening. Her choice to associate oneself with specific, she lost money to contentious political leaders, much in terms of the goodwill of the people, alienating her supporters for years, and was unable to accept her new connections to the image of empowerment she had grown. Her social media account's presence grew unpredictable, with many reactivations and deactivations that recommended someone who wasn't really certain how to deal with the shifting culture scenery. The music business, consistently quick to detect vulnerability and even faster to proceed to the next major event, is beginning to murmur about if Nicki's tenure at the top may be nearing its conclusion. Her group, realizing the impending catastrophe, were aware that they have to take a drastic action. They required a change of direction, something that would bring up memories of Nicki. Love. The Nicki who supported women independence and empowerment. The Nicki who motivated millions of young ladies worldwide to be unreservedly themselves. Her choice to cooperate herself with some contentious, she suffered much at the hands of political people in terms of public goodwill, alienating supporters who have long stood with her and couldn't make sense of her new connections with her inspiring appearance cultivated. Her presence in social media became unpredictable, with many reactivations and deactivations that recommended someone who wasn't really certain how to deal with the shifting culture scenery. The music business, consistently quick to detect vulnerability and even faster to proceed to the next major event, is beginning to murmur about if Nicki's tenure at the top may be nearing its conclusion. Her group, realizing the impending catastrophe, were aware that they have to take a drastic action. They required a change of direction. Anything that would bring up memories of Nicki. Love. The Nicki who supported women independence and empowerment. The Nicki who motivated millions of young ladies worldwide to be unreservedly themselves. The approach they ultimately adopted on paper, it was really rather ingenious. Rather than attempting to regain supporters either only via music or addressing the disputes head-on, they would affix Nicki's brand to the next generation of worldwide female role models. However, this is where they became intelligent, or at least believed they were being astute. They were unwilling to a reality TV personality, another rapper, or an individual from the same entertainment ecology that Nicki was already in control of. They want someone who has tidy, unquestionable skill from a fully distinct field. They were looking for someone. His reputation was impeccable, whose work ethic was unquestionable, and whose appeal could aid in rehabilitation Nicki's association. They desired a young woman like Alexandra, successful and well-known worldwide athlete who embodied everything uplifting and motivating. A female of color from an underdeveloped country that had overcome several challenges in order to compete, reaching the pinnacles of her sport. Someone who might improve Nicki's appearance only by taking a position next her. It was thought to be the ideal strategy. It was intended to be advantageous to both parties. It was meant to function. As stated by unique sources with direct understanding of the talks, and Possess agreed to talk to us in exchange for anonymity. The first strategy was the interior structure of Eala's camp called a golden ticket offer. Nicki Minaj was getting ready for the debut of a brand new record cycle, which was being presented as a return to form, a reminder to the world of the reasons for her obtained the title of Queen in the first location. Her group contacted Eala's management with a suggestion that might make the majority of athletes in their 20s quit everything and respond, yes, right now. They wanted Eala to attend Nicki's as a VIP guest. Very exclusive record launch party in Los Angeles, an occasion that would be attended by all of the key participants in the entertainment sector and covered by media channels worldwide. However, that wasn't everything. Additionally, they were suggesting a collaborative marketing initiative for upscale sports, where cooperation it would place Eala's face next to Nicki's in marketing and commercial stuff that would be accessible to millions of individuals worldwide. Just the exposure would be valued at millions, and the discussion of monetary compensation was significant enough that Eala's group would have been careless not to give it some serious thought. For a quick, everything seemed to be moving at that time. Easily ahead. Like many young people, Eala ladies of her age, regardless of whether they are professional athletes, had grown up listening to Nicki's songs on the radio and being impacted by the rapper's messages of female empowerment as well as freedom. The platform on which this working together would give was really large. The kind of chance that may change from a tennis player well known for sports followers into a real-life crossover celebrity, having awareness of the name far beyond the realm of sports. The two camps were enthusiastic about the potential. Initial arrangements were being drafted, and all participants considered they had discovered the ideal alliance. However, here is when the narrative takes the warning indications are at the first dark bend. Began to show that maybe this working together wasn't going to be the seamless, win-win agreement way everyone had dreamed it would be. References near the report on discussions that as conversations continued, and the teams progressed beyond the first broad strokes agreement and into the particulars about what precisely this partnership would appear in real life. The requirements leaving Minaj's camp turned into become more worrisome. They didn't just want Eala to attend the celebration, then grin for a couple pictures before leaving about her company. They want authority. They wanted to style her from head to toe in a manner consistent with Nicki's style, instead of Eala's well-known reputation as a serious sportsman. They wanted to write a screenplay. Precisely what she would say in an interview and remarks on social media about the cooperation, making no space for Eala's own individuality or voice to shine through. They wanted to control how she would pose for pictures, what perspectives would be used, what message such pictures convey would communicate. Basically, in accordance with those who examined the growing certain agreements and specifications, they wanted to remove everything. Alexandra Eala became herself as a result. Swap it out with a well-designed something intended to make Nicki Minaj seem attractive. They want legitimacy and the goodwill that resulted from working together with a skilled athlete. However, they didn't really want the athlete herself. They want a prop, a ornament, a Barbie doll that they may put on clothes and arrange themselves whatever they happy. Eala's group began to raise worries over these requests, pushing returning to the most heinous criteria and attempting to work out conditions that would maintain Eala's reputation and independence while maintaining the success of the partnership. However, Minaj's group wasn't very eager to reach a compromise. They had a vision for what this was meant to be, and that vision required her basically give up her identity for the length of the collaboration. The negotiations grew heated with both parties beginning to question if this was ultimately going to work out. However, everyone continued to advance, kept attempting to reach a compromise, kept wishing that after everyone entered a room together and had a face-to-face encounter, the human connection would be seamless throughout the contractual disagreements and everything would organically come together. They were completely incorrect about it. The time the catastrophe that altered everything that might eventually blow up this complete cooperation and start a chain response that no one could have anticipated occurred at the scheduled to be a straightforward first encounter in Los Angeles. It was constructed as a casual pre-party gathering called a meet and greet mixer intended to present the possibilities partners in a laid-back environment where they might get acquainted as individuals as opposed to just names on agreement. The notion was that Eala and when Minaj and I met, they realized they had chemistry and esteem for one another. Take a couple first pictures. It may be used to hint towards the forthcoming cooperation and depart enthusiastic about collaborating. That is not at all what took place. Several witnesses who were in attendance at this event have gave descriptions of the events. Moreover, but particulars differ somewhat depending on who is narrating the tale, the story as a whole is coherent and quite unsettling. Alexandra Eala showed up wearing elegant casual clothing that represented her professional persona. Athletic, seeming refined and put together collectively without being too formal or making an excessive effort. It seemed like she was enthusiastic about the gathering, still watching this partnership as a favorable opportunity in spite of the growing in relation to contract discussions. But the room's ambience was described by all those in attendance as tense right away. Something didn't feel right from the start, yet no one could precisely pinpoint what went wrong. Nicki Minaj came in the area and became acquainted with the welcome. Alexandra Eala was not what did anybody anticipate from two ladies who were purportedly set to start a significant cooperation with one another. As stated by several witnesses, rather than a warm handshake or the joyful as you might anticipate when you meet someone, hello you will collaborate closely with, Nicki provided Eala with what one observer characterized as an up-and-down look evaluation that seemed contemptuous and critical. It was the type of expression that put someone on the protective. The sort of expression that conveys, I'm determining whether you're worthy of my time, as opposed to, I'm eager to meet you. The room's atmosphere changed right away with those who had been conversing and giggling moments before to abruptly being silent and observing how this was going to unfold. The strategy preparing the meeting included taking some first pictures taken jointly, informal images that may be used on social media to begin constructing excitement about the partnership without giving away too much too quickly. As soon as the photographer began preparing and guided the two ladies into their positions, at that point, everything began to incredibly incorrect. The photographer, obviously following directions he'd been provided in advance by Minaj's staff, urged Eala to strike a certain position that many witnesses who were characterized as aggressive and diametrically opposed to how Eala conducts herself in a professional manner. It was a position that would be seen in a fashion shoot or a music video intended to audiences that are male. Not the kind of picture that a dedicated athlete attempting to be regarded seriously in her sport would never desire connected to her brand. To her many thanks, Alexandra Eala kindly but vehemently refused. As said by individuals who were near enough to hear the conversation, she stated something along such as, "I'm an athlete, and I want must be shown as powerful, not merely decorative." In any logical universe, this need to have been addressed with respect and understanding. Eala wasn't being challenging or demanding. She was just setting a limit on how she wanted to be depicted, which is something that everyone is entitled to job, irrespective of the business arrangement in it. The photographer might have easily changed, discovered a distinct stance that was effective for both ladies, and continued with the picture take a shot. That was not the case. Rather, according to many sources people were there, Nicki Minaj chuckled. However, this wasn't a lighthearted chuckle or even an awkward chuckle from someone who didn't know how to react to an unforeseen circumstances. This was explained by all those who heard it as a chill, harsh, slicing chuckle that was obviously intended to be sarcastic and contemptuous. She turned to those in her entourage, the group of supervisors and assistants and hangers on who round each significant famous person. At that point, the remarks began to soar. Hearings are reported by witnesses, different people in Minaj's tight circle starting to make fun of Ella's unwillingness to pose the manner they desired. Who does she believe? Is she? Someone was heard stating loud enough to accommodate many individuals, includes herself, to be heard clearly. Others questioned why in their remarks they even bothered to do this. Cooperation if one was to be challenging. The mood changed from tense to overtly antagonistic in a matter of seconds. However, none of those remarks, as inappropriate and painful as they were, in contrast to what followed, this is the moment that changed an unpleasant business gathering into a global event. This is the remark that would build a kingdom of music to its knees. Something happened this morning. It was unparalleled. A succinct message surfaced on the Twitter account of Nicki Minaj. Report, published without any of the customary advertising images or meticulously well-chosen PR wording. It was just text. Unusually depressing and susceptible. It only said, "I forgot. I apologize. I don't know how climbing felt." The message was swiftly removed, most likely due to her management team's worry, and urged not to make any public remarks without putting them through attorneys first. However, this is the internet. And screenshots never go out of style. Everybody observed it. Everybody got a picture of it. Everybody realized what that meant right away. Although Nicki hadn't said specifically mentioned Alexandria, the industry is aware. Fans are aware of the sorry, but please be short. Removed was aimed at the 20-year-old tennis player who declined to participate in a plaything and who made a celebrity think about who she once was. Thus, where does this leave everyone engaged in this utterly crazy circumstance? The cooperation that was intended to its clear that happen is dead and buried. The release of the album that this was meant to be a part of is completely disorganized, with Nicki's group is rushing to reconsider their marketing approach. However, something greater and more significant has sprang from the ruins of this unsuccessful collaboration. Alexandra has went beyond tennis. She is no longer only a sports fan's favorite sportsman. She has come to represent the honesty of being aware of who you are and refusing to compromise that for any sum of money or celebrity. Millions of people watched her worldwide that you don't have to be the loudest individual in the space or the most well-known individual in the world to possess a moment. All you need to know is who you are, your origins, and what you stand for, and won't allow anybody to it away from you. She declined to be a plaything. She wouldn't allow her to be eliminated or disregarded as unimportant. She was unwilling to make concessions. Her principles in exchange for a salary. Additionally, when doing thus, she gained a worldwide celebrity to her knees. Not by insults or hostility or acting like a celebrity game, but just by being honest with elegance and dignity, and by carrying on to be the same person she has always been. Since Alexandra Eala keeps marching. Until the tennis season of 2026, symbolizing the Philippines with the same self-assurance and resolve. She's one thing is always evident. Certain. Everyone is aware of where the Philippines is currently on the map. It's there it is, sparkling in the spotlight. More radiant than before, symbolized by a young lady who demonstrated that quality is more important than fame. Regarding Nicki Minaj has a long and challenging journey ahead of her. In Before, if she want to heal herself picture and reestablish a connection with the principles that made her successful at first. Additionally, she may give thanks to a 20-year-old tennis player for giving the warning that might just preserve her legacy and career. This narrative is continuously evolving, and you will be the first to bring you updates if Nicki publishes a comprehensive public apology, or whether Alex reacts to the removed a tweet, or anything else occurs in this continuing story. However, I desire to read what you have to say in the comments. Are you consider Nicki's tears and her removal are tweets expressing regret sincere? Or is this just one more strategic PR maneuver to try to prevent humiliation and lessen the harm to her profession? Did Alex act appropriately? Think by avoiding what could have been a fantastic opportunity and in order to defend herself and her nation? Or do you believe she ought to have discovered a method to make it function and utilize the platform for the greater good? Tell me about your ideas in the comments section below, because I really read each and every one of them, and I adore hearing everyone's opinions. Frequently, when others sense your affection for them, they begin assistance.